to day 3, everyone. It's 6:30 in the morning, which is very normal for me to be up. But for some reason, I'm very tired. Probably because I've stayed up till midnight the last 2 days. Probably that. Today, it's just a busy day, unfortunately. Usually I can work remote in the afternoon, but on Mondays I have a meeting at 3, and so I typically stay in the office all day, which is fine because then it's like, oh, you can just write more in the evening. But I'm also going out to dinner tonight with my family. And the only reason I'm bringing it to your attention is that really the only time I have for writing, vlogging is going to be this morning. And so that is the situation. So I hope you're excited for a little morning writing vlog. I do typically write in the morning. Like, this is a normal time for me to be writing, but I haven't been actually vlogging in the morning because, as you can see, the verbal word retrieval is not at its finest. But I might come home on my lunch break today and do like maybe half hour of writing too. I'm not going to talk too much right now because clearly what do I even have to say? Frankly, nothing, because nothing's changed since the last time I saw you. But I do have my little breakfast. I have a little English muffin, which I think you saw, with some raspberry jam. I have 3 different flavors of jam, and I've been kind of trying them all out. I do like the strawberry better than the raspberry. There's something weird about it. I also have an apricot jam, which I've never had before, so I'm interested to see on another day about the apricot jam. Is this the riveting content you're here for? This morning's writing will be hopefully writing chapter 2. It's 6:43 right now, and I need to be done writing pretty much at 8, probably a little before 8 to be fair, but I think I could write till 8. I have before. These last couple weeks I actually have been mostly writing at like 7, not 6:30, which isn't a huge difference, but I'm kind of like, ooh, I could go back and sleep for 30 minutes, but that would not be helpful because I know I would oversleep. At this point, I would just sleep more, so we're not doing that. Okay, let's get into it. Sun is coming up, which I guess is a pro of daylight savings, but it won't actually be up this early for that long. But you know, we will take what we can get, even though it will now be dark at 5 p.m. We're not gonna think about that. First 25 minutes, pretty good. I have about 438 words. I'm really finding myself caring not at all about word count. I mean, it's a good metric for this kind of a challenge, but it is so much more in this chapter about getting it right. And I mean this whole draft in general, and I think it is just such a departure for me. Not in terms of draft, like this is now the second book I've done in this way, where I write the chapter and edit the chapter with really the intention to get it right the first time and not have to go back and, okay, I don't want to be misunderstood because obviously I know there will be edits. Like, there will be parts of this book that I rewrite and everything, but in the past I've gone into first drafts really like expecting to change absolutely everything in a later draft. And I know that that's very common. Sorry, I know that's very common advice that people will say is just like, nothing is going to stay the same from draft 1, so don't even care about it. But this is book 7 that I'm writing right now. And I'm like, you know what? Actually, I have plotted the book out. I do know pretty much that this is what I want to happen in it. And obviously that can change. But like, why not try to actually write it in a way where like, maybe not every word stays, but like that the plot stays, you know? In past first drafts, I've really approached every scene of like, I'll just throw whatever on the page and it'll make a story, which I think is a totally valid and fair way to draft. And that's how I've been able to like write 50,000 words of a book in a draft, you know, like do NaNoWriMos in the past, especially like dictation, which is how I've done the last 2 years, is like the epitome of that. Is like, I don't even really know, I'm not even planning the sentences before I say them. Like anything I say, anything that comes to the top of my head is literally going on the page, which, you know, I've written books that way, but they've taken a long time to get from beginning to end. So it's kind of experimental for me to see if I really take the time on the front end to make sure that, or try to make sure that the words that I'm writing are genuinely like the right words. Like it's the right plot and it's the right tone and it's accomplishing the right thing. Not that every sentence will stay, but that it's readable and is actually what I intend the book to be. I feel like I know what the book needs to be, and then I write a first draft that's kind of just whatever comes to mind, and then I spend months and months and months trying to edit it back to what the book wants to be, and then it'll change, but then it'll ultimately change back sometimes. And so if I can cut out a few of those steps that take months and months that don't need to. But it is sort of experimental. Like maybe I'll still end up doing the same amount of edits in the end. But I am much happier with how I'm feeling about book 1. Like I feel like I could give book 1 to someone to read for a beta read, but I'm going to read it first and do some edits on it first. But like I want book 2 to feel that way too. And so 438 words. It's honestly kind of low for 25 minutes for me, but it took a little bit to figure out how this scene plays out. Now I think I have it, but it is this weird prose intention. It's so hard to explain without literally spoiling it. Like there's one thing, or there's a few things I really don't want to spoil, so I'm not going to, but it just makes the prose of this a little bit tricky because we're in the direct fallout aftermath of this situation. And so it's like the thought process, like getting her through the correct thought process to set us up, but also to, I don't know, the vision I have for how the chapter is going to end, I really like. Like, I think it's kind of an image. It might actually move to the first chapter. I think it will, actually. Like, I really think that this is going to be the first chapter, but I'm glad I wrote Cecil's first. Still, it doesn't really matter, to be honest, at this point. Like, I think once we get to the end of Act 1, it will start to matter a little more, the order of the chapters, but they're in different spots, and so it doesn't super matter. But I think this would be a better opening. Sorry if you can hear like a weird piano arpeggio in the background. It's not just you, it's my alarm going off in the other room, which I need to remember to stop setting because it just means that I need to turn it off. I also do feel like it took me a little bit to wake up. It's now 7:30. I didn't really start my sprint until 7 anyway. I warmed myself up watching some YouTube clips of shows, like emotional shows. I don't know. This is what I do. This is my process. It's not really. Don't recommend. Okay. I'm gonna go turn that alarm off because it's driving me bananas, and then go for another 25. Every time I hear that alarm, because it goes off at like 7:20 or something, sometimes it's the same alarm that goes off at 5, and I'm like, what if I'm still asleep and I haven't even done my writing yet? No, I'm awake, right? We're awake together. Be a lot of work if I had to wake up right now and do all this again, but I'll do it. I don't think I'm going to get to the end of this chapter today, this morning, but there's a possibility. I am planning to come back on my lunch break and do like a 25-minute sprint because I could get back. It's not a very long drive, so I should have time to do that. And that would hopefully finish it up. And I will have a little bit of time before I go out to dinner, so there will be time to finish this chapter today. But it's just, I knew this going into this month that like it wouldn't be, like it was just kind of an unideal first 3 or 4 days. Like even tomorrow I'm volunteering at a certain time. That is like kind of a time when I would typically write. And so it's like the first 4 days I'm kind of just like, okay, I'm out of town. I'm getting back from being out of town. I have like kind of a busy Monday and then I'm a busy, but then after those days, we should be kind of into a normal rhythm where I have like 3 different times during the day available to write. And I think tomorrow's video is going to be a pre-recorded video comparing my first and last draft. And so that will be fun. And it will also allow me to get a little bit ahead in editing vlogs so that I don't have to edit them that night, because that's what I've done in the past. And I don't know how I've done that in the past, because I've only done that now. This will be the 3rd day and I'm already like, I need a new system because staying up to edit the vlog is just like not ideal. It's not like I'm staying up late, I'm staying up till 10. It's not crazy. But I think being able to edit it like at my leisure during the day in a pocket of time is gonna really be a game changer for me. I don't know how I did it the last 2 years, because that was crazy. I was literally like living the day and then at 8 p.m. editing it and getting it up. And I need to embrace, it's like not a slower period of life, but like I'm trying more intentionally to have really active balance, because I have seen the consequences of what happens when I don't. Hi, okay. The second sprint, I think I'm finding in the morning that like the second I like let myself have a break from writing that sounds bad. The second I depart from writing even once, it's over. Like when I'm like that first sprint is always good. And then the second one, I'm always thinking about like, oh, I need to check my email. Oh, I need to make sure I don't have something on the calendar for the day that's like happening soon, which there never is. Or like, oh, I need to check my bank account. Like I just start to get into like, oh, it's time to start the work day. Like I need to start thinking about that kind of stuff and admin and stats. I don't know. So I think, and I've actually been noticing this as a pattern, but if I just like in the morning, maybe I check in and then I sit and I do like a 45-minute sprint, like I will write for that whole time. But I think the second I like take out of the document, it's just harder to get back in. I did do a little bit, I wrote like 200 words or something. But I'm reminded, I try not to even have word count goals for the morning anyway, because typically that's not the only time I have to write during the day. So it's like whatever I'm able to get done in the morning. If I'm editing through a chapter, I can safely usually say that I can edit through a full chapter in the morning. But if I'm drafting, I've tried to make it that it's just whatever happens in the morning, whatever energy I have, whatever shows up on the page. And so I do need to just remember that, because I woke up today and I was like, this is the only time I have to write, which is not true. Like I'll be able to write on my lunch. I'll be able to write after work for probably an hour before we go out to eat. So like, this is not the only time. And even if it was, like trying to push for extra words was not going to be what this scene needed. This scene is a little bit tricky because it's also pretty much the first time we're dealing with this new element of the magic system. And so thinking about how does this like tangibly work, which I haven't written out in my Notion, like how the magic system actually tangibly works, but how it's affecting the people who it's affecting. I do like where the scene is going. I think it's going to be a shorter chapter anyway, because I am almost at the end of the chapter, I think. But I think the ending is going to be super dramatic and have a lot more interiority and stuff, and I am a little tired. So starting the day off with 664 words, I think it's a good start. I think I definitely know where we're going. So I think when I'm on my lunch, I will come back and hopefully get to the end of the chapter, or not. just keep writing it. You know, that's the goal, is just to keep writing. I would like to reach the end of the chapter though today. I would like to stick to that. I think that is very doable. But in the meantime, I do need to go to work. So let's get ready for the day and come back to writing later.
Silk lining, delicate paper, tangerine rind. Tulip petals on the dresser all come to mind. Soft blonde pink brush and shoulders, page 55. You trace letters over the pictures of the climbing.
I know I said I was gonna write on my lunch break, but I'm really not feeling it. It's only day 3. I feel like I want to go on a walk, and I think that's what I need to do. I have had a very productive lunch break. I have about 30 minutes left before I need to leave. But I cleaned up some of the laundry from yesterday. I feel like when you do that amount of laundry, it just, like, last night I got like the bulk of the clothes away, and then today it was like the bits and bobs and odds and ends and things like that. And then I also did my planning for the week, which I realized I had not done yesterday. I usually do that on Sunday mornings, which makes sense because I was out of town. I don't know what, I think because I'm like forcing it, and not even forcing the words, but like forcing the writing to happen at a certain, like, I don't think that that's gonna work for me. A couple weeks ago on this channel, I was talking about how what had started to work really well for me was like having 3 periods of time during the day that were available to write: the morning, the lunch hour, and the evening. And then whatever happened during those times, like, that's how I was able to make progress, is not by saying like I have to write during the morning, the lunch break, and the evening. It was, these are the times that are available to write. And if I'm really not feeling it, I don't need to, because there's other spaces throughout the day that are available. And I think because I'm, you know, doing daily videos and I need to make progress every day in order for there to be something to talk about, right? I kind of forgot that that's what has been working. And so I'm just gonna lean into that today. And honestly, I usually don't write this at this time anyway. I usually am remote in the afternoons, and so I can like work through lunch, and then like from 1 to 2 is usually when I write, and it's almost 1 now, and take that hour. But I have a meeting in the afternoon, so I have to go back into the office, which is always the case on Mondays. And I'm remembering now that most Mondays I don't write in the middle of the day. Like, I write when I get home. And during my lunch, if I come home for lunch, then I am like doing cleaning like I have been today. And just kind of finishing up things I might have started on Sunday. And so even though it's a busy day and there's stuff to do, like, there's going to be time later to write. And even if there's not, like, there's this evening, like, I have time. And feeling like I don't have I need to write, like, that is not going to produce anything good. So I think that is the plan. Gonna go on a walk, go back into work, finish out the workday, and then I should have actually like almost 2 hours before. Some people might be able to write later, so I can jump in with them, and like, and then when I get back, I can also write. Like, I was planning on maybe going to the pool tonight, but I'm thinking maybe I don't. This will be the last day I'll have to edit the video at night. I think I've already done this whole thing, but yeah, I can feel in my body that I need to go on a walk. And so I'm going to listen to that and do that. And then, yeah, but I'll take you with me if you want to see some leaves. Do you want to see some? Let's get some leaves together, shall we?
I can see you
little bit of a change of plans, as I'm sure that you know that I have not known this whole day, is that I did get my edits back on my book. I haven't looked at them. I am afraid because, okay, listen, I've talked about this before. I have a whole video on like how I receive feedback, and it's just hard for me to receive feedback, but I do it. Like, it's not like I'm avoiding getting feedback because of that, but it just is like always something. I tend to be very, 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 very defensive upon a first read and a first glance. Usually then I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, all of this is right. I'm gonna change all of this. But that is just my natural instinct, as I think it is for a lot of people. Another layer to this is really the first, I guess I did have a professional beta read on this book, but that was just like someone on Fiverr. Like, that could be anybody. This is like someone who is traditionally publishing romantic suspense, who's read the whole book and is giving me overall feedback and line level comments. Like, this is feedback that I will listen to. I have listened to feedback in the past, obviously. I don't just like think I know best. But there's also this layer to it of like, I've had full requests that come back as no's, and it's always like very vague, where it's like on this book, where it's like, it was great, just didn't end up being what I wanted, you know? And so I feel like this is like, if like hearing like a real, I don't know. I can't even form a thought. I'm very nervous. And also there's this other added layer that like, this letter is going to give me the clearest picture of like, how much work do I have to do? And I'm not one to be afraid of working. Like, I will work on a book. I will do edits on a book. I will spend years on a book. Like, I will do the work. But this book has felt very indifferent and interesting because I have like done all of that with this book already. Like, I've gone through 2 dev edits and major line edits and major copy edits, and like I've done like 4 rounds of feedback. Like, I've done a lot of dev work on this book, that it feels like it is fact, which it's not. I don't know. I'm really curious to see, like, this could be line level and a few paragraph and scene level things, or it could be, hey, rewrite the whole ending. Like, and I don't know if I'm prepared to hear that the whole book needs to change. And I don't know if that's really what the edits will be. But I don't know if I'm prepared to hear that, because it feels like fact right now. But I will, of course, accept whatever feedback and like take it into consideration and decide and make edits. I was just in a meeting and I had screenshotted, like, I haven't read it, but I opened the email and screenshotted it and sent it to Brielle, and I was like, warn me. And her response was, you don't need to worry about this. Like, just open it. It's a lot of praise. Don't worry about it seriously. But it also wasn't the whole email. It was just the beginning part of it, which I feel like you would put praise at the beginning. But anyway, I'm going to open it and read it, and then you'll see my reaction. I don't know what I don't know. And then we're going to go home, and that's what I'm going to work on this evening, is starting that and just seeing, because we might be like now taking a pause from the fantasy book. I wrote like 2,000 words of it and now we're moving on, or I don't know. I just don't know. So, I feel like I'm going to throw up. Try. Really? Okay. This is so tea, actually. Setting is always my worst enemy. Ah, she does do a lot of that. This is tea. Okay. I haven't even really read it all. I'm like just skimming with my eyes. Like, I'm not even reading it. I don't know. I can't even like, I physically can't read it. What an angle of the sun shining through. Is this better? No, it's worse. It's worse. Okay, I know that this sounds insane. I skimmed, so I think I know generally what she's saying, but I haven't actually read. I read all the praise, and then I got to the part where, like, I think there's going to be changes, and I can't even read it. So, but I think I read enough to know, like, where it's going. So then I'm just going to drive home, and then when I get home, I'll read it. Is this insane of me? Yes. But that's what's happening. Okay, hi! I'm back. So, I have read through it fully. I actually read all the paragraphs now, and the good news is, it's so funny that I opened my computer and never Ben is there, because I'm like, girl, we ain't working on that. The good news is there's no overhaul. There's no rewrite the whole book. There's no this whole plot line doesn't make sense. Sort of. There's nothing where it's like change the plot, right? A lot of line and scene, not even scene. I don't actually know. I've only read the overall thoughts. I haven't actually looked at all the inline comments yet because I'm nervous. But she kind of broke down like the major categories of what is going to be in the inline feedback. And a lot of it is like, she said that the voice, like there were parts of the sections of the book where the voice felt different and like less funny, which makes sense and is very correct. I think because I had been writing it as a thriller, I like felt the need to go like super dark and serious at certain points where it felt warranted. And if I'm querying it as romantic suspense, like a more funny book, like it's like a tonal consistency thing. Also, there were some things about my antagonist's motivation that came into question, which was, I was like, girl, I saw X character's motivation, but like I had a problem with it and I was like, oh damn. But turns out it's like, we just need more of this character's motivation thread throughout the beginning of the book, which is interesting and it might sound familiar because I had felt that way. And so in my last round of edits, I had like done a lot in the ending to make this character's motivation really clear. But what she suggested is that she said she pointed out some points earlier in the book where I could bring in the motivation in like additional scenes earlier. So that I think will be the biggest overall change in terms of like adding in chapters and scenes and moments, you know, to like really solidify that motivation so that we know it throughout. There's a few character things she wants. Also, guess what? We need more setting and description. If you're new around here, setting and description are my mortal enemy, I fear. I think now in my writing, I'm doing it a lot more, but like, I don't describe what characters look like. It has been like pulling teeth to like, where are we in the country? What age, what time of day is it, you know? And so I spent a lot of time layering that in at the end, but I was kind of doing it out of spite. So it does make sense that we need more of that. And it's really funny because even the small character things she mentions where it's like I just want a teeny bit more of this, or like in a couple of scenes, I want more of this. It's funny because one of the things was that Cal sometimes gets like, he kind of rolls over in a situation a little bit, which I had also addressed because if you think he rolls over in this version, girl, he was doing backflips in the earlier version. And so part of what I did to change that was like motivate him, like give him more of a reason why he would be rolling over essentially. But she's suggesting like having Cal internally rebel more would help. And so that's exciting. Like the more I think about the edits, there's nothing that I read that was like, oh my gosh, my whole world is ending and over, right? But there's definitely work and there's definitely changes. I think I will see the extent of that once I actually begin like looking in the document, which is what I'm going to do next, Xavier. I have never described anything a single day of my life, but I have. I just need to do it more. This is the big leagues, everybody. This is really being a writer. T. Fine, I'll describe things. Ugh. Okay. I'm happy to break down. I'm not. It's just kind of overwhelming to look at so much. But it's not crazy. It's all very good. It's just, I'm almost feeling like I shouldn't go through all of it all at once, but at the same time I kind of want to, I want to get I want to see all of it, just in like all the scene level and paragraph level things. I'm like moving on, like not really writing down, because I'm gonna like go through chapter by chapter, but I want to see if there's anything consistently that I need to make a big change on, you know. Woody smile, T. Ah, I'm having a breakdown. I'm not having a breakdown. I'm keeping it together. I'm keeping it together. Half of this is show don't tell, which is actually diabolical of me. Okay, we've gone like a whole chapter. It's so interesting because I think I've grown as a writer so much since even this last draft, which was in April. Like, I think in writing Sunshine, and honestly, I think in writing the fantasy book, I have become like such a better writer. And a big part of that was that retreat I went to. There was like all of these classes we did where it was just learning like small things that I feel like has just made my prose, and like the way I construct scenes I think is better now. The way I put together interaction, like it just, and I was beginning to get that near the end of the editing process with this book, but because it wasn't there at the beginning, I think I'm still seeing like a lot of these mistakes. I'm like, oh yeah, like why did I do that? And I think it's just like bleeding over from like I've worked like wrote the first draft of this in 2023 before I really knew anything. I don't know. I need to be nicer to myself though. It's like a pride thing too, of like every piece of feedback, it's like, yeah, that's like, it's, I have the reaction is either like this, like, why didn't I think of that? Like, what, like, why did I not just do that in the first place? And I think my initial like defensiveness is a like, well, I wouldn't have done something bad, which is like, obviously I would have, like, that's what I think it's for. Hi. Okay, I think we're gonna close with this video. I wanted to talk a little bit about how I am feeling overall, because it's been kind of an emotional journey of a day, like a lot of whiplash. I've had a lot of mixed emotions and reactions and feelings about getting this feedback. So to catch you up on where we ended, I am on page, I think like 90 or something, of looking through and like taking notes on the notes. So anything that's like scene level, line level, I'm not taking notes on, but if it's like add a scene or change this throughout, that's what I'm making note of here. And just to kind of get a full picture of like what the changes are essentially. And obviously she said in the messages and has, you know, throughout this journey, which is said like, you know, only take what you want, like you don't need to take these edits, that kind of thing. But it's so interesting because this whole process is like, basically how I'm viewing it is it's like a test run for traditional publishing, because this is how TradPub works from my understanding, is that you get the agent, woohoo, party, dance, have a good time, but then you get the round of edits and you do the edits and then you go on set. Like you get it ready and then you get it ready and you go on set. And then the same thing happens again, is that even when you get a book deal, you do another round of edits like this. And so it has been so far, I mean, I haven't even started doing the edits yet, but it's like so valuable. Like the feedback I'm getting is so incredible. It's positive, but it's also like the changes. It's not just like, oh, fix this inconsistency, do this. It's like, I'm trying to put it into words. Like the changes just like I feel like will bring out this whole dimension and just make the book the most true version of itself that it is. A lot of the edits are about like tone consistency and about characterization in terms of like describing things more. And here's the thing, I have done my song and dance on this channel about setting and blah. And I think like at first when I saw in her main feedback of like, you need more setting, you need more description, I was like, ugh, more setting. But then I looked at the inline comments, and the way that she's suggesting the places and the all of that about what she's suggesting to do, it's not just like, oh, describe a tree, oh, describe, it's adding setting in places that helps like ground us in the moment and helps like, because another comment I got was like about showing and not telling, and like everybody knows show don't tell. It's like the oldest thing in the oldest rule in the book. And I have had such an interesting relationship with showing and telling this year, because I'm like, if you just show everything, like it gets to be overwrought and overwhelming for the reader to just show everything. But when you pair this advice of adding in setting and description in certain places, that's what does the showing, is like the characterization of a look or an environment or the air shifting or the temperature cooling, or like those are the things that do the showing, you know? And it's so interesting because I say this and I'm like, yeah, obviously, like I know that, like why? Because it's like, these are things that I have known. I've written all these books, like I know these general craft things, but it's just so nice to get feedback from someone who like clearly knows what they're doing and is ahead of me. I don't mean to say that in terms of as like a bash on anybody else who's ever given me feedback, but I have been saying recently, like, I think the gap in my feedback and my beta reading experience is a lot of the people that I have reading for me are at the same level as me. They've written a similar amount of books. They're maybe at a similar stage of publishing. And I don't have a lot of like critique partner and beta reader. I have a few people who look at stuff, but like who look at my books and my work as a whole, who are like professional in their career steps ahead of me. And I guess that is like literally the whole point of doing a mentorship. Like I'm just explaining what a mentorship is, but it's going to be so valuable. And it's not that the book will even change that much. Like I bet after these changes, if I gave it to my mom who's read the book, she would maybe notice a few different scenes. This is my guess. I haven't actually done the edits yet, but I don't think she would notice like, oh, this is a whole different book, but I think it will feel tighter and it will feel more consistent, because a lot of it is also like parts of the book feel wordier or feel different. And I had felt that, like I had felt that there were sections of the book that felt different, and I hadn't known like how to identify like what was actually wrong with it, because as I was reading it, I didn't identify like, oh, there's something wrong with this. I was just like, oh, it's just a different part of the book. It feels a little bit different. It's because it's one thing to be able to notice like, oh, the midpoint feels different than the rest of the book, but maybe that's because there's a big midpoint happening and like it's exciting, you know? The way she's giving feedback is so helpful in terms of like, no, this is what's different about this section, and here's how you can make it match the tone of the rest of the book. Like this is gonna be super, super valuable feedback, and I'm very excited to see how the book turns out after this. But I've still felt this like, it hasn't been all positive feelings today. And it's not because of the feedback, because as I've been saying, like this feedback is really excellent. And also she's very complimentary in her notes. Like the whole first like 5 bullet points are like, the romance is great. The beats are great. Like everything's happening in the right place in the plot. Like all the big picture bones of the story, with like one minor exception, are in place. So she said like she loves my main character. She thinks that the romance develops, which is such a win, because that was like I had written this as a thriller and then kind of hoped that it fit into the romance genre, and to hear someone who writes romantic suspense say like, yes, it hits the romance genre, like very complimentary feedback. But there's this sense of like, as I was reading through the comments, I was like, oh, these are such good notes. Why did I not think of this? Why did I not do, like, I know these things. Like, why was I not doing this? And I think it's just hard to come to terms with the gap of experience. And also, like, there's so many things going on in a book. It's hard to catch everything. And I think I have grown as a writer so much since April. And I don't even know really how that happened. I mean, I went on that Good Lit retreat, and I really think a lot of these things that she's talking about here, I'm like, I know that. Why do I know that? And it's from Good Lit. And I think that my writing since that retreat has just been tighter and stronger, and like it's small changes that make big impacts. But it kind of made, reading it, I kind of got this feeling like if I was in high school and I'd kind of slapped together a paper and I'm getting the paperback and it has all these edits, and it like feels like I created this lazy product and I'm like just showing it to the teacher, and the teacher's like, here's all these obvious things you missed, which is so so funny to think about because like that's the gut feeling that I have. Like I'm like almost guilty. I'm like, why did I not think of this? Have I just been lazy? And it's like, no, this is what feedback is for. Like Christina is giving me this feedback to work with me on it. Like she chose to work on this book with me, which is like insane to think about. And so when she's saying like, hey, fix this, work on this, it's not coming from a place of like, why didn't you think about that? Why didn't you try to fix that? Or it's just like, for whatever reason, I didn't see it. I couldn't see it. And she did and can and am and is. And it's just funny to think, to have that feeling because I don't typically feel that way about my projects because I put so many rounds of edits and like I have rounds of feedback and I do edits. And so it's not that I just slapped this book together, like I did do the whole 9 yards, but there's just so many things to think about with writing, and sometimes you need someone who knows more than you, has done more than you, to show that, you know? And so I'm super excited to work on these. I'm also feeling very intimidated, but I think that that's super normal to get this edit and this document full of comments of all these things that you need to fix on a book you haven't worked on in 5 months. Like that's gonna be overwhelming and intimidating, and that doesn't mean that the feedback is bad. It just means there's a lot of work to do, which like this is what an author career looks like, is writing the book, thinking you've thought of everything, completing it, pouring your heart into it, wanting it to work, sending it to someone, and them saying, this is great, this works, here's some things to fix, and then feeling like it didn't work, like all these things I was trying to do, it didn't land, it did not what the person was saying at all. But I'm like, okay, if this is what I want to be my career, like I've got to start with this, you know, I've got to not let my pride of like wanting to already know everything get in the way of me like really embracing these edits. And so that is very much how I'm feeling, is I think I've had a lot of pride of like, this book is done. I've worked on this book. Like I'm done. Like there's nothing else I could do. I did all these rounds of edits. And it's like, no, there are people like, there's so much I have yet to learn, or I have learned in the last year that I can bring into this book. And like doing this edit, I can already feel is going to make me so much stronger of a writer. I just kind of need to get past that initial like pride and discomfort of being told that there's things that I didn't see, because it's very vulnerable to, like, it makes sense. Like it's vulnerable to have this book where I'm essentially, by submitting this book and querying this book, I'm saying, I believe that this book is done. That's what you're saying when you start querying a book, is you're saying to the world, I have done everything I can do on this book. And so to get edits back on something that you've said, like, I'm done with this, I've done everything I can, and to see all these edits and be like, oh, obviously that, yes, obviously that, why didn't I think of that before? Like, it's this sense of pride of like, what was I thinking? But you just don't know what you don't know, and you can't see what you can't see, and that's why feedback and like going through this process is so important. And I was really resistant to it, and I think I'm still kind of overcoming that resistance to it, but I think I'm really excited for what this book is gonna look like when we're done. But I'm also feeling very overwhelmed. So, you know, all those things can exist at once, and I'm so excited to, in the next couple of days, like compile all this feedback, make an action plan, hopefully meet with her to talk through some things, and then get to work. I don't really know how long I estimate this taking. I haven't looked through all of the feedback yet, and I think most of the plot level edits are happening in the second half, so I won't really know until I look through all of it. But I think, I don't know, I just know that this is gonna be my priority for at least the next few weeks, likely the next month. But again, I'm not rewriting large swaths of the book, so we'll see. But thank you so much for being here. I think this probably turned into a long, chunky vlog, even though I thought it was gonna be a really short one. But thank you for being here. Comment down below a pencil emoji, or your word count. Let me know how you're doing. Tomorrow there will be a video actually of comparing the first draft and the current draft of All's Fair in Love and Robbery, which is the book I just got edits on today. It's like a 40-minute video. I think it's really fun, so check out that one tomorrow. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video. Apparently liking videos is really helpful. I don't know. That's what everybody on YouTube says, so I'll just say it too. But I will see you next time. Thank you for being here. I'll see you tomorrow.